So welcome back. We continue with the memorial session, and the next speaker will be Jakka Ramesh.
Thank you, Frank, for inviting us. It's a very tough day to be here, but we'll do our best to summarize some of his research work. So I know Christos for almost 25 years now. So it's been a very long sort of working relationship with him since I was visiting IBM in 1990. One of my summer jobs when I joined IBM in 1991, met Christos. He was leaving IBM, and I took his office. So that's how I started talking to him about what he's going to be doing in Crete. And it was basically taking over some of his work he did at IBM on simulations around load balancing. So I don't know if many of you are familiar with the IBM mainframes, but this is in those days we were doing load balancing across IBM mainframes. But that was the beginning of virtual machines, the beginning of actually even cloud computing that nobody even knew about, but it was happening in the IBM days. And so part of my first discussion with him was just in terms of his life at IBM, his new life in Crete. He was excited about coming to Crete, about being in Crete, and he wanted to work with us. He wanted to continue working with IBM, and I was just visiting IBM as a student, as I mentioned, but he felt that this was his way of trying to get us more involved with him as he was moving away from IBM into Crete. So we started working on some interesting work around economic models, and I'll tell you more about that as I go through this presentation. But that was my first time with him, and then I didn't see him for quite some time. But I sort of wanted to put together something that says we all miss him. We all miss him really quite a bit over the last few weeks. We missed him because he was an open-minded person, very compassionate, a family-oriented man, and a good friend of ours, and a good mentor of ours. He was very versatile. He would pick multiple areas. He would select different areas. He would think about new things. He always had an open mind to explore new areas. He wasn't that sort of rigid. If you met many people from IBM research, they tend to be very focused on a specific area and they stick to it. He was actually very open about it. I call him, the Kevin Bacon of this community that we all sort of came together, is because he was bringing together different groups of people from different backgrounds. And the reason we're all here is because he really kicked off this activity almost 9 years back, because he felt that bringing a community together in Crete would open up some doors, open up some discussion, open up some collaboration. And if you know Kevin Bacon, he's known for his interaction in the movie industry by working in so many movies. He sort of connects different artists because of his interactions, because he collaborated with so many different actors and artists. And that's how Christos. Christos is basically like a small worlds person. He connects different people, which is why we're all here together. And I think that's a very good way of doing things. You do research not by doing research, but actually bringing people together so you can actually share ideas and share your thoughts and things like that. And I always felt when I was talking to him that he always wanted to do interesting things. He always wanted to excite himself, do something exciting. We would make trips down to Brussels, make trips to the UK, trips to Germany. He would visit the US, and he always felt that there's something interesting about life, and he wanted to find a way to bring those interesting points into his own daily life and into also the way he worked with his colleagues. So when did I really get to know him? So I was finishing my thesis in 1994, And Professor Wawai was here, was my advisor. And he was advisor also to Don Ferguson, who worked with Christos very closely, and Don couldn't be here, unfortunately, because of surgery and complications about the surgery. So in 1994, I worked with him on a research paper that was doing economic models for distributed systems. And it was a joint paper between YY and I and Don Ferguson and him, and he wrote a paper. And I asked him, how's life in Crete? I was thinking maybe I'll visit Crete on vacation. I'll come for maybe a couple of weeks. I'll give you some lectures. I'll go sit on the beach, and maybe we'll talk a little bit. And he had other plans. I know. He said, why don't you come spend a month? I'll pay you for a month. Just come and give some research talks. But when I landed here, he said, well, I think we want you to stay for longer than a month. I said, I'll think about it. And I had a job at IBM, and I had to, take a, sort of a sabbatical from IBM. And I was finishing my PhD, and I had to get my PhD defense completed. But in the end, I ended up being here for 18 months, from 1995 summer, almost 20 years back at this particular day, to 1996 December. And in 1996 December, I moved back to New York and joined IBM Watson Labs, formally as a full-time person, even though I was in IBM Watson, but I was not full-time at the time. So in those 18 months, I really got to know, Christos really well. We did a lot of work in digital libraries, lots of work in information pricing, how do you price digital artifacts, and he was always excited about new things. And moving from IBM into Crete actually, I think, made him a lot more of a different person. It really got him in the world stage. If you're in IBM, you're stuck in IBM. You have to live by IBM rules, but if you're outside, you get to do more things. And I think that really helped him, sort of get out and be a different person. So I have a very interesting timeline. He and I and a whole bunch of us, including YY and Don, and maybe also Frank, we did lots of interesting work. It started off from doing very basic load balancing systems. That was a big deal in IBM in those days, to doing a lot of work in information economies. This is an EU-funded project. Started off in 1999, I would say. It was almost like 4 or 5 years of FET funding to look at the internet as an economy and information that's being shared as an economy. It's sort of different for computer science people to get involved in that space, but it was a big deal. And we started getting into that, and we published a whole bunch of interesting research work. We combined the economists from France, along with computer scientists in Crete and other people, to get some interesting results. Beyond that, I rehired him back at IBM in 2004, because he was, for some time, doing a lot of interesting administrative work at the University of Crete. He was, I guess, getting involved in a lot of politics, getting involved in managing the university. And he wanted a break from all this. He spent almost 5-6 years doing that. And so he wanted to come to the US, and so we hired him back at IBM. And that's when I introduced him to service science. Till then, he was doing everything else other than services research. And so we were doing lots of work in service computing, service science, service systems. I said, look, why don't you come and spend maybe a few months, or spend maybe 8 months, it's up to you. I was actually thinking he would stay longer than 8 months. But he wanted to come back to Crete, come back and sort of reopen and rethink his research work. And in 2010, I believe, he really launched his services transformation laboratory. He started working with all of you in the space. And before that, he kicked off the summer school activity. And again, his intention was, can we get everybody from all over the world to have Crete as a central place for services research work and visit every summer. And so, again, going back to his Kevin Bacon, he's really a person who brought this group together. We're all from different backgrounds, different worlds, which is also important to get people together. So since then, I think he's done amazing work. I wish I could go into more depth into every little detail of what we did every year from 1991 till now, but that's going to keep us here for the next few days. So load balancing was a big activity. I'll spend a minute. This is one of his patents. I don't know if you know, Christos has filed a bunch of patents when he was in IBM. So I wanted to mention that he was not just a researcher, also an active researcher building systems and building patents. And that was the kind of person he was. He was involved in a lot of different things so they can see the broader picture. He always gave a very broad picture, a broad assessment. And he was actually involved in one of the first few patents that IBM filed in the area of load balancing. And in fact now, this is going to become very important for cloud computing. When you hear more from YY, how all this work that was done 30 years back is again coming back into cloud systems, cloud computing, It's a big part of work that we're trying to do right now. But in 1994 and in fact 1989 onwards, there was a lot of work we did, and I was actually sort of doing my PhD thesis, taking over some of the work that Don Ferguson and he did on market-based control. And we wrote an interesting book chapter, in fact, a couple of book chapters that we all collaborated on, and which can be applied principles of economics, principles of market control to allocating resources in distributed systems. Guess what? It's happening now also in cloud computing. We did this work in almost 30 years back, but now there's a lot of interest in pricing, disk space, pricing CPU capacity, pricing other services on top of compute services, like what Amazon does. And you price it such a way that you allocate resources efficiently and you attract demand. So really speaking, it's applying demand and supply techniques because you have jobs that are actually of different service times, service lengths. They're very complex jobs and you have to allocate resources. Look at what Amazon is doing, you look at any of the cloud computing systems that are doing, they're applying different pricing models so they can actually attract demand, allocate resources better, and provide service level contracts to your end users. And this is again interesting work we did 30 years back and we published some interesting work. In 1999, we sort of moved away from pricing physical hard resources like disk space to pricing information. And we wrote a proposal to all of us, and in fact he was driving the proposal on information cities. And just imagine, this was in 1996 we wrote the initial proposal. In 1990 we got funded to a FET on information cities. Just imagine IBM didn't even know this existed, but we had IBM involved. We're trying to find a way to price information that's shared between producers and consumers, and apply different algorithms to show how pricing can be done, how we can share resources, and use the internet as a base for that. And right now, if you look at it, smart cities is a huge topic all over the world. So going back, a lot of the work that Christos was doing was actually a precursor to a lot of things that are happening now. Again, it was his work along with a whole bunch of us involved, so we can actually work together and bring these new ideas into the program. And if you look at this, this was actually published in ACM as a special issue, which is actually an outcome of the FET research. So you can imagine the EU officers are very excited that we actually had the ACM special issue dedicated to the findings of what we did from the FET project. So our goal was to be able to bring forward some of the new research in that space. And in 2004, as I mentioned, he was getting a little bit frustrated in terms of not able to get good research done. He was focused a lot more on university activities. He wanted to get out and spend some time and just sort of refresh his brain, refresh his memory. So we hired him back at IBM for almost 8 months and reintroduced him into things we're doing in service science, and then he took on that very seriously. And very soon, he got more and more involved in doing good research and published a whole bunch of interesting articles in the IBM Systems Journal, and I put it up there. And in fact, there's an article that right now is in the space, along with others, on how do you allocate resources and services efficiently in value chains. If you look at large supply chains, it's really a supply chain of services that include how you actually buy and sell products, how you buy and sell compute servers, and so on and so forth. Again, here I just want to mention that this was done in 2004, but now it's coming back again in a big way. How do you apply the same techniques to networks or services in cloud computing? You buy compute servers from somebody, you buy disks from somebody, you buy other servers from somebody else. And so he was actually driving a lot of this thinking, and it was interesting to see that, again, he was back to his good old days of what can we do now that's going to have an impact 10 years from now. That was the way he was thinking, and I really liked the way he was moving ahead. A lot of us tend to be very focused on short-term research. He was always focused on broader, long-term thinking. That really helped. And we were interested in different kinds of services problems. I don't want to go into a lot of depth, but the goal was, when you have a network of services being offered by compute systems, by different providers, how do you optimize it? How do you control it? How do you manage it? How do you make it more reliable? All of these questions came up, and really speaking, a lot of the research we did here within your group here was to drive some of the thinking in that space. And his laboratory that he kicked off was a combination of all his thought processes in service systems, service science, and all the things that he was thinking of as to what can I do to get my students and get my research staff doing the latest to get us in this space. And he got more and more involved, I believe, with you, Frank, and others on the service computing side to really jumpstart, from an academic point of view, what would it take to make it a lot more useful in terms of both research and applied research and so on and so forth. So to summarize, I think, it's too sad that, I'm here without him being here. I've always been here for the last 25 years, almost every year I was here. Every summer I'm here, at least, once a year, sometimes even twice a year to work with him on various topics. And I would be looking forward to meeting with him. It's a little bit hard for me to be here and not have him here. So what I wanted to do was, we thought, we will definitely want to memorialize, Christos. So I was talking to the IBM guys, my colleagues of mine, who actually are running book CDs, book chapters, booklets, in service systems and service science. So we're thinking that, after this conference, I'll sit with Frank and YY and Don, and we'll probably be editors of this booklet. We'll dedicate the booklet to him, and we'll have maybe some research work, plus other research work included. We should go through some sort of a review process. It won't be this straightforward, but at least it will give us an opportunity to present this past work, current work, all into a booklet. That'll be sponsored by some very important guys involved in the space, like Jim Sport and others. And it'll be published as a part of the service science activity, or even a book that's going to be there forever. They'll carry his legacy forward. So going back again, I know him for almost 25 years, but I really got to know him from 1994 when I moved here in 1995. And it was interesting to work with him, and we definitely miss him quite a bit. But hope we can keep his legacy working, and hope this conference is continuing on so we can all visit here and spend some time and think about it. Thank you.